So you found talent in France and you're looking for a compliant solution to hiring him or her? In this video, we will go through your options of hiring an employee in France, either with or without setting up a legal entity. We will also clear up with the misconception that the only way of hiring without a legal entity is an employer of record solution, as actually in France you have two options. You can either hire the employee through an EOR solution or directly through your foreign company. We will be discussing the differences and we will compare the cost of the two solutions. Salut, bienvenue, willkommen zu unserem YouTube-Kanal. I'm Daniela Recksiedler from Payroll Pro France, and we provide payroll and HR solutions to international companies like yours. Before we talk about your options for hiring an employee in France without setting up a legal entity, let's just quickly talk about when it does make sense to set up a legal entity. A legal entity can increase your credibility vis-à-vis your clients and as such help you to get into new markets. It will also protect the parent company from the losses of this legal entity. So it really depends on your long-term goals. Besides, you should also be aware of the risk of creating a permanent establishment in France for tax purposes. If you have doubts about this point, we recommend seeking advice from tax experts. So, with this out of the way, let's have a look at your options for hiring an employee in France without setting up a legal entity. In France, you have two options. You can either go through an employer of record solution or you can hire the employee directly through your foreign entity. First, let's have a look at the employer of record solution. Commonly, an employer of record is defined as a third-party organization that hires and pays an employee to work for another company. So it consists of a tripartite contractual relationship where the employer of record is the official employer. Though it has to be noted that the term employer of record actually doesn't exist in French laws. For hiring highly qualified employees, the solution that comes closest to an employer of record solution is the French portage salarial. This solution is limited in two aspects. First of all, the nature of the engagement. The client company can resort to this solution only for occasional tasks that are not part of its permanent business activity. Second of all, its duration is limited to a maximum of 3 years. The main advantage of an employer of record solution is that it's the quickest solution to set up with employee benefits already in place. Many EOR providers onboard in 1 or a few days. As mentioned before, there's an alternative to the employer of record solution. Actually, in France, you can hire an employee directly as a foreign company. The French term for this solution is ESEF, standing for Entreprise sans établissement en France, translating to company without fixed establishment in France. Under this arrangement, your company will be the official employer. Your company will be registered in France for social declaration purposes alone, while operating from a foreign address. A French payroll provider like Payroll Pro France will ensure that your employees are managed in complete compliance. There are no such limits as for the EOR solution, meaning you can hire any employee and you can hire permanently or temporarily. As for the setup, we recommend allowing for 2 to 3 weeks. So how do the monthly costs of the two solutions compare? For an EOR solution, prices and services vary from one provider to another. Some charge onboarding and offboarding fees, and for the monthly fee, you should expect at least €600 for your first employee. If you choose to hire the employee directly through the ESEF solution, we recommend working with a French payroll provider like Payroll Pro France. For your first employee, monthly payroll processing is €90 with reductions for any additional employee. There's also a small setup fee for the registration in France, and for the employment contracts, we recommend letting them draft by French lawyers, so this is something to take into consideration. As for the labor cost, in both cases, you will have to pay local French contributions, which can be between 3 and 46%. Though there's one difference. If you choose to hire the employee directly through the ESEF solution, you will be exempt from training taxes, which are about 1.23% of the gross salary. We have a video on labor costs coming up, so if you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing and activating the notification bell. And if your company is currently seeking to hire an employee in France, please feel free to book a consultation to talk directly to a French expert about your unique case. We will leave the link in the description. Sie können uns auch gerne auf Deutsch ansprechen. Merci et à très bientôt.